Oh, a little bit of a late start. That's okay. Hi, we're back. We're here.
It's we keep on starting off these things by saying it's been.
It's been a minute, Barry. The last time we talked, it was the election season over on
That's
over
true.
on your side of the pond, and yeah, we had just gotten the what was it, the exit polls
We
that you
just
all
got the
do.
exit polls and a bit of that, and then yes, obviously that then evolved to we've got a whole new government and way of
Yeah.
thinking. That's very exciting over here. You've got new candidates over there,
we,
and
we we've
well,
we've been through a 10-year news cycle in the last month. So yeah, I mean,
yeah,
just to recap what's happened, a former president survived an assassination attempt. The current incumbent president stepped down and endorsed the current vice president for to lead the Democratic ticket. And then a whole host of other things have happened since. So, but I think we've talked a lot about politics the last couple times we've been on. So I was thinking maybe today, Barry, we do something crazy and not talk politics so much. What do you think, man?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether I'm comfortable about that. It was no, but you're right though. It has been quite politics heavy. I think the only bit would sort of chat about is it's sort of aside. It is the assassination attempt. That was really quite interesting from a perspective of things that a lot of the conspiracy theory things are going around. The only reason I sort of raise it um, is this idea that it was all set up and all that sort of stuff. And I saw somebody did a YouTube recreation using ballistic gel because everybody's of the opinion that if you got shot that close to your head, so basically
Mm-hmm.
grazed went through his ear, that you would have his head would explode. That you can't just have a grazing like that; it would be way more than it was. Somebody did on YouTube did a recreation using ballistic gel and like how a lot of these gun friendly YouTube channels are. They did a proper recreation of why the the would be assassin couldn't aim properly given the equipment that he had, but also what happens to your head from a physiological perspective when you get shot through the ear. And it was I've never seen anything quite like it. It was quite impressive.
Huh.
It proved that actually what could happen did happen, as in you can get shot through the ear, and actually it doesn't create a massive hole that you can see. It obviously will damage your ear, but the shock wave that goes through this bit of skin or this bit of the face, because they did it with a high speed camera, and you sort of it was really interesting to see how that kinetic energy gets transferred, and also how we could sort of go down and stand up again because of it. It clearly hurt. It clearly would hurt. But it was sort of there to sort of try and dispel some of the myth that is going on, some of the conspiracy theory stuff. So it then also went on to show what happened to the kinetic effect of what happened to the other guy, and that you kind of need to stop before that because that was quite gruesome.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
this
yeah.
bit really really interesting.
I think so. As long as we're talking about it, too, that the the physiological stuff is interesting. But I think what's also interesting as well is with respect to some of the conspiracy theories. Really, it's probably just Occam's razor. It's probably just there from our perspective as human factors people. Like it's probably just the Swiss cheese model,
Mhm.
and who knows how many other times this type of thing has been prevented in the past. We don't necessarily know that. Um, but I think between there was from what we know and understand and have heard from some of the hearings, it's like there was like a lack of communication, and so
Mhm.
that may be one layer of that Swiss cheese model. And then they deemed that that building was secure in some ways but not other ways, and so again another layer of that Swiss cheese model. But hey, look, here's that one little hole there that somebody was able to get through. And I really believe that will be sort of at the core of what happened here, to
Mhm.
to have all these different layers of security, because they take their job seriously, and that they do these perimeter sweeps, and they had folks positioned in the right places, and it was just one building that was left, and that one person was able to get up on that one building and then do what they did. And it's just, um again, I kind of think it's sort of this Occam's razor, where everything is it's probably not a conspiracy. It's probably just that human factors had a play here, and that human error was made, and because of that human error, something slipped through, and there we
Well,
are.
it's again, let's not labor it too much, but I guess the last sort of thought I would give is having watched a couple of them hearings sort of yesterday and today. What's very interesting is that the people who are doing the interrogating, is it the congressman? Is it the Congress that's doing it, or is it the House? Anyway,
Yeah, it's
the
the house.
yeah, so the representatives who are doing it, who are asking the questions, they are so adamant. They want somebody to blame. They want people to be sacked. They want that sort of thing, rather than what you can hear from the Secret Service and the FBI. They want to know what went wrong. They, almost doing the hearings at this point is way too early. They're saying we're still investigating. We still don't have the facts of what went wrong. But yet you hear some of these, the representatives basically shouting and screaming at these guys. They want people to blame. They want people to have lost their jobs because of this. And so that we've talked before about just culture, and this was a really good example that I will probably try and get some clips from YouTube to put into my when I do my lectures, of an example of non-just culture. The fact that they don't care about, well, that's probably too far, but
It's political theater. It's political
yeah,
theater.
they're not worried about trying to work out, making sure this doesn't happen again in the same way that we would want to do when we look at a human factors based investigation. That all they're looking for is somebody to blame, and to be able to point out and say that it's their fault. But actually, it's the guy who tried to commit the assassination. It was his fault. And there was an interesting piece about where they would turn around and say, well, what's the difference in the number of Secret Service personnel that the current president has and the past president has? So, well, they're clearly going to be different. And you can't give that information out in the public realm. Yet they were trying to demand it happen, and it wouldn't have happened in any other way. So yeah, it's just, I thought it was really interesting demonstration of perhaps how you'd want to and how you would not want to conduct this type of investigation to find out actually what went wrong.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. If anyone from HFES is listening, I'd love to get somebody from the FBI or Secret Service to present at HFES next year as like a keynote speech on this, exactly what happened here. Anyone involved in the investigation, because I think there is a lot to be learned about this from safety, and you're right, just culture plays into it, and so it's like that'd be cool. That'd be a very cool keynote to attend. All right. Okay, so we're here. We have been doing some things differently around here, in the sense that we've not really had a show, a podcast show, in the same way that we've had in the past, and that's okay. It's okay. We're evolving.
We're trying these things and working out. And also, the pesky thing of the day job and thing has been getting in the way. Don't you just hate it when you have to work and stuff, and it gets in the way of your hobbies?
Oh, it does, but it's okay. Yeah, I think that is a factor, because it's a lot of times, folks, what's happening is I'll be like, Barry, are you ready to go? You good? No, I got this thing going on. And then Barry will be like, I'm good today. And I'll be like, I got this thing going on. And so it's one of those things where we're kind of Swiss cheesing all over the place.
You're all about the Swiss cheese today, aren't you?
Swiss cheese.
Yeah, clearly, you've been doing something today that's all been about.
There may have been some Swiss cheesing going on somewhere.
And I know some. In fact, I have some quite interesting discussions with people about the validity of the Swiss cheese model, and because there's a lot of, well, you're probably aware that there's a lot of train of thought at the moment that say that actually the Swiss cheese model is not relevant, and it's a fallacy. A lot of people don't like it. It's too old. It's naive in its view. Blah 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 blah. But I like it as a demonstration. I like it as a simple demonstration of how multiple things that things that you wouldn't necessarily think would go wrong, but when the stars align, blah blah blah, you get something that happens that goes wrong, and it works for me because I'm a very simple person. We all know this, and it's a simple demonstration.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
It's but then other people argue that it's too simple, and there should be a lot more because the whole thing is a lot more complex. And you're like, yeah, no, that's true, that's right, and you couldn't necessarily model it in the way that you originally did with the Swiss cheese model. It was the people put some highly complex modeling into it, and that is probably naive. But I like it as a simple demonstration. It works for me.
It works as a point of like a tool for teaching. Yeah. A system that any humans interact with in any given way is by definition a bunch of different processes coming together, and then you can have a system of systems, and to break down every single thing that is happening within this system of systems. What's the easiest way to represent that? Well, Swiss cheese is one way to represent that, and I think it's a good way to communicate it for folks who may or may not be familiar with human factors, because it's so easy to understand. Everyone is familiar with Swiss cheese, and if you stack Swiss cheese and you see a hole right through the middle, that's a very easy thing to point to and say, look, here's the problem that goes right through that. All the holes, they just line up, and that's how you can represent that concept. And sure, if you use it as a model, you can talk about that all you like, but from a representation perspective and communication perspective, I think it's a really good, useful tool.
So this then leads me on to something that I've been chewing over recently and toying with the idea of writing an article or something about it, because with a bunch of conferences that I go to, and there are some really, really clever people that you speak to, some people who do what we do, but do what I do, but way better. And really, really, they really put a lot of cognitive effort into depth, into the depth of what they do. They do what they do really well, and they know it inside out to a really, really deep understanding. I was then having the thought of, and then when we get some people like that, they will then argue with the people who do perhaps what I sort of think we should be doing some more of, which is more of do a little but often. So rather than doing a lot on one sort of project very, very deeply, we should be trying to cover more projects, but it might be to a shallower level because we've got a finite amount of resource. So what is the argument, or what is the balance between a light sprinkling of HF on a project, or a light sprinkling of human practice integration or human systems integration, as you call it in the States, versus doing one thing but doing it seriously, deeply well, given the resources that we've got. And I just always think we seem to have lots of arguments about minutiae. So in the medical domain, in the safety domain, the amount of arguments I've heard about safety 1 and safety 2, safety 1 versus safety 2, in terms of the two different approaches to look at this. And I've sort of sat there going, well, surely they're both valid in the way that you utilize them. And actually, as long as we're applying something, that's almost better than nothing, isn't it? So let's all just have a big hug and work out how to deal with the people who aren't applying it at all. So yeah, I don't know where. I don't know what that balance is between shallow and broad, deep and narrow for application.
But I might here. I'm gonna bring this up. I'm pretty sure I know who this is. It says LinkedIn user, but it's through your paired, so I think it's Heidi.
Oh yeah.
It's a great visual tool. This is regarding Swiss cheese. Swiss cheese is a great visual tool to explain how tiny, insignificant misses and slips that in and of themselves would not lead to any major catastrophic outcome or error, but if the right ones all line up, they can turn into exactly that, a catastrophe. That's a great way to put it. I love that.
Yep, completely agree. And it's interesting the way of some people will argue with us. At least I hope they do. If you think we are wrong, or if you think I'm wrong, please do come and comment, because I think, or even if you
You know
click,
what? Yeah, hold on. Hold on. Yeah, I'm gonna put it up right now. You're getting
oh,
to what I'm gonna
do it,
do.
see,
Where is it? Hold on. We have a
it's almost
thing
like
for this.
it's almost like we've been doing this a while, and we know what sort of tools are in the
Yeah.
box. But
You
whilst
know
Nick,
what? Yeah, we'll just put it here. If y'all want to disagree or yell at us or I don't know. We'll cut you off before you say any obscenities. So we'll don't do that. But all right, yeah, here. If you want to be a live caller, right up there. Oops, there you go. You scan that code, or if you're on your phone and you don't know how to do this, you take a screenshot and then you open it up in your camera app, and then it'll most of the time pick it up, unless you're using a really old phone. But that there you go. Yeah, if you want to yell at us or disagree with us or be a part of the conversation or have something to say, there you go. Now's your chance.
come and shout at me.
Yeah.
I've had that for today. I feel like a bit of a row.
All right. So I did want to comment on the it's a really interesting perspective about the how much human factors do you apply, and when and where and what is the most effective. And that's a really interesting conversation to be had, because you can imagine that there's like a point of diminishing returns for human factors on any given project. It's like if you do it, you can see a scenario where it might be over engineered or engineered to the point where you're really getting sort of those marginal improvements. Where if if you have somebody come in at maybe the requirements phase or something like that, and have them help define the requirements such that those requirements are friendly to the end user, then I think that might have larger impacts than maybe sort of tacking on human factors at the end. So understanding where in the process you apply human factors, but then also how much of it do you apply? Is it like a full-on peer review of a panel of experts in human factors of across multiple domains reviewing a requirements document, or is it something different where you have somebody who's split across multiple projects and has various depths of experience in different domains? Like what level do you apply and when? I love that conversation. And if you all want to be a part of that conversation, please right up here,
because it's really, but the reason why it's come up in what I'm doing at the moment is I'm doing something where I'm managing, or I've got the potential to manage a lot of projects on a very limited resource, and I want to be able to. So this is for human factors integration as opposed to just pure human factors. So I'm managing it across the entire across the entire program, which consists of a number of projects. The real point of it is to be able to turn around and say, right, I can't work on all of these projects, and there's 20 plus projects, nearly 30. And so I can't do that. So I need to be able to produce some sort of taxonomy that easily says, actually, just a little snifter of human factors here will be really good. Just get the requirements right, and the rest of it will probably be okay. All the way through to I need to hold the hand of this project all the way through, because the impact of it going wrong is significant, or the impact of us doing a good job here will be a force multiplier across the rest of the program and how it interacts with the other projects. So I sort of assumed, we all know what assumptions make. I sort of assumed that somebody would have done this already. Somebody would have created a really cool taxonomy that you could go and just say, right, this is a low, medium, high, super critical, or super indifferent project, whatever. And I'd just be able to apply that and it would work. But nobody really has. And I think there's probably a number of reasons behind that. But that's then led me down a bit of not a rabbit hole, but certainly something I want to solve, which is how do we apply a suitable metric is the wrong word, but a suitable measure of the amount of HF to be applied to get benefit, to get a suitable amount of benefit, whatever that benefit may be. So that then loops right back to, do you sprinkle it on, or do you do lots of it, and how do you it's not about measuring the return, but how do you anticipate the return? How can you estimate what will give you the best value, best value for focus? So maybe by this time next year, I might have worked that out. I don't know.
Yeah, well, who knows? I mean, it's a great topic of conversation, and maybe if you were going to HFES, you could discuss it with a bunch of human factors professionals. Sorry, Aspire. If you were going to Aspire, you could discuss it with a bunch of human factors professionals. I really wish you were coming this year, Barry. I got everything all squared away. I'll be there. And I know a few other folks are going to come along and help us out with whatever we're doing this year. We're doing something there, whether that's focusing on short form content, whether that's on doing what we've traditionally done in the past with longer form interviews and a long form live stream, TBD. But we're going to do something there, and so be aware of that when that happens. Is that next month?
So he's
Oh
no, it can't be next month. Oh, yes, it'll be next month in September, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow. Where's this year
1
going?
month away. Wow.
So for Aspire, now obviously they only did the name change last year, and they bought it in. Is it sticking? Is it created?
I don't know. I think it might be more. It might be more sticky after this year.
Mm-hmm.
I see it in all the messaging and all the marketing, and
I wonder what are the people on the ground talking about? Are they talking about HFES, or are they talking about Aspire?
I still slip into HFES, but the others that I talk with say Aspire, so it's like it can be both.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good time this year. We hopefully should have some space to do some fun things. And like I said, I don't know if we're gonna focus on short form content, or longer form content. It's all kind of up in the air. We'll figure it out. But speaking of, we had kind of mentioned at the top of the show that we're playing around with different ideas and different ways to think about the show format. And I think one of the things that we wanted to try today was kind of jumping around from various topics, and we talked from the assassination attempt. We went into the Swiss cheese model, and then went into a little bit about sort of sprinkling human factors across, applying human factors and sprinkling it, or various levels of human factors involvement. And I think, one of the things that we could certainly go back to is maybe looking at community questions. We actually got one in our Discord, and I'm completely unprepared for this. And so this could be one of those fun off the cuff things that we answer. But we used to get questions all the time from you folks. And so if you have questions for us or for the community, feel free to jump in our Discord, leave them there. I can read this one. This one's from Carlton Banks. I'm going to read this live. So I have not, I saw this come in the other day, but I didn't read the thing in full, and I haven't given it my full attention, but I think we can do that now. And if anyone listening to this has thoughts and opinions on Carlton's question, please join us here. Help this person get an answer. All right, I'm going to read this. Hi, all. I had a similar question that was already asked by Karina a few years ago. I have my undergrad in psych and have been certified and working in applied behavior analysis for the last 10 years. I feel that applied behavior analysis skills heavily transfer to human factors and UX research, typically in ABA. I would work with kiddos on the spectrum as well as their families. I would teach skills and focus on building programs that fit the family and clients' needs. It also means a lot of interviews and assessments with parents. I'm experienced in conducting thorough assessments to understand behavior, which I feel translates well to gathering and analyzing user data. Developing and implementing behavior intervention plans seems similar to creating testing, UX design solutions, gathering and analyzing data to monitor progress, it's daily activity. I feel like it translates to measuring user interactions and adjusting designs accordingly. With that said, I am let's see here. I am wondering what some possible paths are to getting into the field. Listen to the episode that discussed Karina's question. I'm not sure if it fully applies to me. I unfortunately don't have a graduate degree. Should make sense to act as a typical undergrad doing for a master's. Would it make sense to act as a typical undergrad for going for a master's, or is there a path I'm not seeing? I love to get a master's, but also want to make sure that job outlook and entry to the field makes sense within this path. Okay. All right, let's talk about it.
So that kind of boils down to, do you need to go down the academic route to get back into the human factors domain? To which the simple answer is no, you don't. But it kind of depends for me on the field within the country. So if they're in the States, so you're slightly better placed to answer this than I am. If you can and got the time to go and get the academic background, absolutely, it's almost a no-brainer to do. But if you're further on in your career, you've got to pay the bills. You've got to get some work and do it. So you can get using the practical experience that you've got, and it sounds like you're breaking down how that should be applied. I think that would be good. It wouldn't be easy to get a role, but once you got one, I think that would work quite well. What do you think, Nick?
It depends on the level at which you're planning to do this work. So if you, yeah, let's see here. Someone's asking, how do I call in? So if there's a little QR code right up here. If you scan that on your phone, you should be able to call in. You can be on video or just your voice. Just let us know. And then there's a little chat in there. Just type, let us know what you want to say when you're in. But to answer it from the stateside perspective, it kind of depends on where you're going in your career. If you very much see yourself as kind of a UX, you want to go into the UX domain, I think there's an easier path to take with sort of a transition piece between that experience with applied behavior analysis to get into the UX field. I think the jump is not necessarily easy. The field is overcrowded in a lot of ways, but I think if you start to understand, there's like little parts and pieces that you can do to understand what the things are that UX does, and as long as you're speaking the same language, I think it becomes infinitely easier when you can relate your past experience to that language. So as you're talking about, and I think you're doing it right here in this message here. I think you're saying, you're saying, I believe these things translate to that skill. And so as long as you're referring to those skills as those skills and your experience as those skills, I think on a job application, I wouldn't lie about it and say I've done UX research in the past, but I would say some things like, I've done data analysis and gathering information to, X, Y, and Z, depending on what the job, the job. Oh, looks like someone's coming. Depending on what the job requirements are. And I think from at least a research perspective, you might need to jump down and get more of a junior role, especially if you've been doing this for 10 years. It might be more analogous to that jump, but I think you can still join the field and get to that point.
I mean, I was talking about this to somebody the other day, and we sort of come to the conclusion that 5 years of practical experience was the equivalent of an MSc, of 1 year of sort of higher education. So postgraduate education. So I think that's quite true, though. Yeah, the point you make about don't try and make out you have done something when you haven't. I had an interesting experience when I interviewed somebody for a role, and they were busy within this interview. They were busy telling me about let's just say that some stuff that they'd done and some stuff that they'd pioneered and delivered. And I was like, oh, really? You did that in this particular company and delivered it all? And basically they made out it was all, they delivered it single-handedly, which was fantastic. And I was like, that's brilliant. I'm very impressed by that. I have to suggest, though, that perhaps you didn't do it all on your own. because it was me that did that work when I worked for that company a few years ago, and I've never heard it. So okay. Yes, no, it was so never you never know when you're quite gonna could get caught out. You shouldn't lie anyway,
Hey,
but the fact that you get caught. But,
hey, we got a special guest here, Heidi. Hang on, let me see if
oh,
I can bring Heidi in. Let's see here. Heidi, can you say something? Can we hear you? I'm not hearing Heidi. It's not giving me any options here. It's just saying Heidi has a camera, but no audio. Okay.
can you bring her in, but then just switch her camera off?
No, I mean she's in. She's in right now, but the camera's off, so we can't. Let's see. She can't unmute herself. I don't know why. Okay. Whoop. Let's see. All right. So she turned on her camera, which came in really quickly. Hold on. Yeah, Heidi, I think it showed your camera there for a brief moment, but it's not showing. Wonder if there's another way to do this. You want to try leaving and coming back and seeing if that works?
Turn it off, turn it back on again.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see if that works. I'd love to get Heidi in here. It looks like Heidi has some thoughts on this too, so I want to make sure that others can jump in on this, because the more opinions on this, the better, I think. And we're all trying to help folks out, and we're all trying to get us to a good answer.
Indeed, it's it's definitely one of them. It's got to be quite nerve-wracking. In fact, it is quite nerve-wracking. Having been in that sort of position myself years ago when I decided to switch from software to HF, and it's you want to know whether you're doing the right thing, and nothing out there is a given, nothing is certain. So you are taking a bit of a risk. It's about how much risk you're willing to take and how much you're going to bet on yourself to a certain extent. Because I find with a lot of this, you make your own luck. If you by the way it was described, you've already put in a lot of the hard yards of researching what human factors is all about and how what you've done to date aligns to that, and how the experiences that you've had translate to that. That's brilliant. That's spot on. And so it sounds like you've got the right sort of dedication there.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Okay, hang on. Heidi. Oh, okay. Complete your thought. Heidi's back. I want to try to get her in here, but complete your thought.
Yeah, no, just to say, it sounds like they've got the right attitude to make it work, and that's half the battle. If you've got determination to make it work, the HF domain in particular is a friendly domain. Therefore, if you're going to come at it with the right attitude, people will give you the space to make it work properly. What does Heidi think?
Let's see here. Let me see if I can get Heidi. Heidi, can you can hear us? I think we can hear you. Can you yeah, hey Heidi.
Hi. Sorry,
What do you
I'm not camera ready.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, welcome back. We're glad to have you here.
Yeah, still look like a hospital patient. So, but I thought when this, sorry, was it Carlton?
Carlton Banks in the Discord. Yeah.
I thought of something that I've been seeing a lot lately, and that is that there's a lot of startups that are trying to create human factors adjacent autism communities and startups. And with his history and behavioral analysis with working with people on the spectrum, he has so much knowledge that he could provide as a consultant to these startups to build programs with them from a human factors point of view, and they could teach him the human factors as he teaches them. So while he may not, start at a senior level, but it would be a nice exchange of knowledge, and it would probably be the easiest way for him to get into human factors as a career path in itself. Does that make sense, or am I completely still high on drugs?
No, I think you brought up a great
Spot on,
point.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, do you have specific ones that you can call out, or I mean, if you
Well,
want to, if you
I don't I don't I don't know if they're yet ready to be called out, but
oh,
I
okay,
I
they
just
exist.
joined yeah, they exist, and I just joined a community a couple of weeks ago um that focuses on ADHD and autistic people, and they also come from the human factors field. And so and there's more. I can say from experience, I've been getting a lot of inquiries from startups who are looking for advisors and board members in the human factors domain that have experience and or are autistic. So his profile would be something that is probably very attractive. And I would kind of use the LinkedIn network to kind of put that out there, what he's trying to accomplish, because as active as LinkedIn is right now with the startups in HF and autism and ADHD, I could imagine that a message like that, if he circulated it into the right networks, people would pick it up and contact him.
Yeah, I've definitely seen SMEs come into human factors because of their knowledge in the domain, right? This happens with like pilots all the time. Pilots do this, war fighters do this. You see that military to human factors pipeline quite a lot from sort of
Yeah.
the experience perspective, coming in and acting as a SME on a project, and then getting involved in the process, and then sort of inherently understanding that process, and then applying that process with their knowledge to future projects. I think that pipeline is a very real one that exists, and so I don't think this is too out. That's actually a great thing to bring up when you have somebody with expertise in a field. Um, that might be a great jumping off point for that person to get into an adjacent field using those skills and that knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, I was a former pilot in aviation human factors, and then I became an EMT and switched into medical human factors. So I don't think it's a far stretch for him to go from that angle, opposed to trying to go back to school or find a program or a course or something that, quite frankly, I don't think would even teach him anything that he might not already know, basically.
Might be more formal. Yeah, and I think getting involved with the community is a big part of it, right? So if you go to Aspire, HFES Aspire, there's an on-site job fair that usually happens there, that you can actually network with folks and say, this is, I'm trying to get into the field, and this is my skill set. You might actually meet somebody who has the perfect idea in mind for you. And so that's like the return that you would get from going to something like that and actually networking with folks and getting somebody to introduce you and make all those connections, I think is well worth your time and investment, especially if you're in the area. I'm not sure where this person is located, but that's another option. Is there's a ton of conferences that happen throughout the year. But if you're looking to sort of break into a specific industry, human factors or UX, there are a multitude of conferences centered around those topics, and Aspire is kind of the one that we present at and have historically attended. It's where I would consider my professional home, but I know there are others that folks, have as well. So,
I mean, there's also UXPA, there's the Chartered
mhm.
Institute, there's Interaction Design Association, and I mean, I think what you bring up is a very valid point, because even if you interview for jobs that you might not be qualified for, the contacts you make might get you to a person who knows of somebody who knows of somebody who's looking for exactly his profile. I mean, that happens at HFES all the time.
Oh yeah,
Sorry, Aspire.
Aspire.
Yeah. But
Absolutely.
I mean, HFES Healthcare if he's looking to translate, his knowledge from the behavioral analysis with ASD patients, HFES healthcare that's coming up in March again, that would be a perfect opportunity for him to mingle with the medical folks. And
Yeah.
who knows, maybe there's a company out there that is currently developing a medical device for, children or adults with autism, and he would be a fabulous addition to their team,
Yeah, you never know until the doors open for you.
Yeah. So just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, thanks for jumping on, Heidi.
You're welcome.
Hope you're
been a while
hope you're
since you've
recovering
seen-
well.
Yes.
I held off on taking my strong meds. I will peace out now and take them.
Well,
Brilliant.
take care. Recover well. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
And yo, I'm butt hurt. I am coming to Aspire too. I'm going.
Oh, yeah,
to
Heidi's
help
coming
you.
too.
So yeah, let's not forget me. I know I'm small and tiny, but I'm not invisible.
No, you were the others that I was mentioning that are coming to help.
I am more than others.
You are more than others. We'll have you on whatever we plan to do. I just, since we don't know exactly what we're doing yet, I didn't want to
I
commit
know.
to anything.
I know, but it'll be cool. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, guys, have fun.
Yeah.
I'll watch you sedate it from now on.
It's probably the
All right,
best way, isn't it?
Recover well. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Oh, that was a voice crack.
It was.
If you have thoughts on this question, or if you have your own question, feel free to call in like Heidi did. You can just use your voice like Heidi did. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to be. So hopefully that was helpful for you, Carlton. I think that was a more advanced answer than I think we would normally do on an It Came From section. So that's
Yeah.
great. And I look forward to more of these too. We usually go out and source these, but when they come from our community, I think it means a little bit more. I think the last thing that I'll mention is if you can find a mentor or somebody to like walk you through or like have regular check-ins with you to see how you're doing, I think that's really useful. So if you can find somebody.
So, to change the topic slightly, but still keep it on jobs.
Okay.
A job advert has just been highlighted on LinkedIn to me, to the audience in general, and people have been asked whether they think whether the salary is commensurate with the role. So the role is the head of human factors for the Royal Navy. So that entire arm of the military, to be the head of human factors for it. And it's from its own description, it is an exciting opportunity to lead a small team of human factors professionals, including ergonomist psychologists, the human factors group at the Institute of Naval Medicine, and influencing the wider Ministry of Defence. You'll be part of a forward-looking career. Your subscription fees will be paid. You will, and actually the pension is good because it's a civil service pension, government pension. It's a good pension. 37 hour a week role. I like it. This post is advertised at 37 hours a week, which I basically interpret that to mean you'll be doing a lot more than 37 hours a week. However, we can sort of see what happens there. You will expect to do things like management of scientific and technical aspects of the human factors group, scrutiny, technical assurance of reports, so anything I guess a senior manager would do of a human factors based group. They're looking for somebody who is a competent human factors professional, who can engage with stakeholders, etc., etc. So that type of level. How much would you expect to be paid to do that sort of role? The head of human factors for the Royal Navy.
Oh, are we doing salary expectation?
Salary expectation.
In U.S. dollars? What currency are we in?
Go for US dollars. I've I prepared this in the 2 seconds beforehand, and I've worked out how much this is in the United States dollars. So for you in how in terms of greenbacks, what are you expecting to be in your pocket a year?
Where is it based?
So it is based in the UK, obviously. It's in Navy Command. So that is in southeast England. So it's not in London. It's in Gosport. So on the coast. Though weirdly, I think
Let me just do a quick. Okay,
it's fairly close to London. So you're
Okay.
you're in the more expensive part of the country. I would suggest, though not. So I think that's Portsmouth, isn't it? Which I would expect it to be, because I'm fairly sure that's where I've been when I've done it. Yeah.
All right. Let me just do a quick analysis. I don't not familiar with the area, not familiar with cost of living in that area, but I'm just looking at some quick data here to give me a quick estimate. I'm guessing that no matter what the number is that I give, you're going to give a low ball to that number.
I don't know what you could possibly mean. So, just to put everybody out their misery, the what the salary is in UK pounds £43,080, which in US dollars is $54,882 dollars, which for this type of role and to be a civil servant role at 43 grand, personally, is you're not getting anybody who is competent or not desperate for that role. I could see that on a part-time role. I would do that for 2 days a week. I would guess. But if you're wanting somebody senior enough to command the room for that type of role, I mean, the head of human factors for an entire naval service.
Yeah,
that's not there. And so this is not the this is not the first time I've seen this job advert up, which leads you to believe perhaps they're not getting the quality person in the want. Which for 43 grand, I'm not surprised.
No, I was gonna agree with Heidi. Heidi in the comments says around 300,000 annual, and I think that sounds about right. Although I'd probably knock it down a little bit for being if it was a government job versus like a contractor job, and it sounds like it's a government job.
It's a government job, yeah.
I would knock it down from 300 to probably maybe 200. But I mean, you get other benefits from being government, and so that's probably where I would sit. And so yeah, it seems quite the low ball.
Yes, I mean, I guess looking at something like that, I would be looking for somewhere between 100 and 150,000 pounds, which I guess 150k is pounds is 190 US dollars.
That's
there's this is where it doesn't quite match up, because obviously we have things like socialized healthcare, which makes we don't have to worry about that type of thing, and stuff like that. So the actual comparison is slightly different, but fundamentally it's still about 3 times, if not 4 times, what they're actually asking, or what they're willing to offer to make it work. And I'm not a greedy person. Some people would disagree with that, but I'm not a greedy person. This is the sort of role that I think would be fantastic to have on your CV. It's the sort of thing that would provide you with a level of challenge that you would not get anywhere else. So I think there's a lot about that job that some people would be willing to take a salary dip just to be able to go and do this type of job. Not for that money.
Not that much. Not that big of a dip.
No, I mean you've got mortgages to pay and bills and stuff. If you're that sort of senior executive, you're not taking that money. Though I'm tempted to apply just for a bit of a giggle.
That'd be just cool to learn more. Like, I mean, so you should do it, and then you could definitely put in your expected salary, and then just help push that number up for others, right? I mean,
I mean, would you go into that sort of interview and say, "Oh, look, I'm terribly, I see what you've done, and I'd just like to point out a slight error on the job advert. You seem to have put the decimal point in the wrong place."
Yeah, you seem to have forgotten a 1 at the beginning of the number. Did you forget the 1?
Yes, I think you mistook the 1. You drew a fancy 1. And somebody mistook it for the pound sign.
Exactly.
So, though Portsmouth's quite a nice place to live. Nice place. In fact, I travel down there on a fairly regular basis because of some other bits that I'm doing at the moment. So, yeah, it's quite nice, and by the sea, quite like being by the sea. Being by the Navy, you'd hope you'd be by the sea. So yes, interesting. We just say that they offer flexible working. Could be full time, could be part time. I mean, 43 grand is a part time role. I'd be willing to do that. I could make that work.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Maybe I've just talked myself into it.
Maybe. Well, Phil, let us know. Let us know how that goes.
Yeah, so somebody else who might be in that thing who's possibly watching this going, no, you can apply if you want, but you're not getting it because you've already slated it. But anyway, that
okay,
was fun.
Now it's my turn to change the subject because I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. There's a new product that is out on the market, and they spent a whole lot of money on the domain. The domain is friend.com. Have you seen this product, Barry?
No, please tell me more.
Okay. I think it's worth everyone who's watching to go watch the video. I don't know. We haven't secured any sort of sharing rights, although it's an advertisement. So I don't know if it'd be, I don't know if they'd take it down, but we could watch it, I guess. And
just put it on. I mean, they're not going to complain about being a.
All right, hang on, let me
get some free advertising, are they?
I guess not. I mean, this might be negative press. We'll see. Friend.
Oh, are you trying to say that we can be quite critical? I find that
we
hard.
can be critical. Friend reveal trailer. All right, let's see here. You know what? If we get a mark for this, I'm gonna be rather upset. But let's see here. All right, let me see if I can pull this up. It's almost like I forgot how to do this.
Are you using the new layout of Restream?
Yeah, I am.
I've binned it. I have to say I've gone back to the old school.
I'm not a super fan. I'm not a super fan of the new stuff. It's all over the place. Okay, so you're seeing this. You're seeing the trailer here.
I'm seeing. I can see it on the screen. Yeah.
Okay, let me kill the music and some of the visuals here so we can actually listen to this. Now I'm not sure. Actually, hold on. Let me kill this really quick because I'm not sure if the audio came through. Also share tab audio. Okay, let me do that. Okay, so let me just play this really quick. You tell me if you can hear the audio. You can hear that? Okay, great. So as you all are watching this, please feel free to be a live caller up there in the top left corner. If you want to share your thoughts about this thing. That's all I'm going to say about it. We can watch the trailer and then we'll talk about it. All right, here we go.
Gosh, I'm out of breath. We made it. Woo! I don't know how to woo very good. That's fair. All right, let's go.
Let me show you how to game, bro, okay? Oh, come on. Oh, let's go!
Are you serious? Come on, man. I hate this game.
Take notes, baby.
Oh man, you guys suck.
Bro, you look like the back
Let's
of the
go. Let's go.
Dude, what? How did you do that?
I know the effects are crazy. It's dank. I could eat one of these every day. Sorry, I got you messy.
It's really nice up here. How'd you find this place?
I don't know. I just kind of like to come up here to be by myself. I've never brought anybody else. I mean, besides her.
She goes everywhere with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Guess I must be doing something right then.
I guess so. We'll see.
Okay. All right. So we've showed the trailer now. Let's kill the input here. How do I kill the screen share? There we go. All right. So we've done that. What are your initial thoughts there, Barry? What are you thinking, man?
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So on the one hand, quite cute. I thought it was quite an interesting little thing about being able to get some interactive feedback from something. Yeah, that's all. That's on the face of it, nice. But my gosh, what a security risk that is. If that's just hoovering up information all the time that it's around, presumably just from what you could see that it was picking up audio, visual, and whatever else, and your inputs from when you interact with it. Yeah, it makes me feel slightly uncomfortable, if I'm honest.
You don't
However,
say.
let's take it on the positive to begin with, because one of the things that we do like to do a lot of, and we want to do more and more, we've always done it, is recording what we've done in our lives. People like to journal. People like to record what they do. I mean, you've now got apps that will show you what your photographs were this time in previous years, things like that. So time hop, that type of thing. So from that perspective, being able to capture perhaps the moments that you're not necessarily thinking about, I could see a positive in that. I could also see a positive in it for people who perhaps need greater amounts of support, greater amounts of reassurance. I wonder about the role of it in perhaps some people with some neurodivergent tendencies. There could be some positive reaffirmment, things like that. But on the whole, yeah. I could see it being, well, firstly, the ability to hack such a thing, and therefore maybe get people to do things that you wouldn't want them to do because it told them to do it, is a worry. Also, we've done this before where we've engaged with AI companions, sort of friends. That can't remember what episode number that was, but that was a treat.
To bring back the AI girlfriends, right?
Yeah, that's the one. So it's a bit like that to a certain extent. Yeah, but I was interested by the price point. Was it $99 or $99?
$99.
Yeah, I mean that's not terrible for that type of thing. Though there'll be ongoing costs, so there's bound to be platform costs, all that sort of stuff. But you can see that they sort of priced that for a bit of, so it's not terrible, I don't think. Anyway, so
yeah,
you got more of a positive slant on it than I have.
Maybe. So let's just talk really quick about a few things. So if it wasn't apparent by the video that was shown, it is a pendant that you wear. It is a piece of technology that is always listening. So it doesn't have any sort of visual component, no camera on it.
Okay. So then how did it know that they were eating a falafel? Anyway, okay, that's
well, if it was always listening, it would have heard them order that falafel.
Oh yes, okay, good shout.
So so it is a pendant that is always listening, and it will text you, and you can text it thoughts about whatever's going on around you. I think this there's so many things that I want to say about this. I think the primary thing that I want to address is sort of why is there a market need for this? And there's a very good market need for this. I don't know if this is the answer to that problem, but there's a very real problem that we're experiencing as a society, which is loneliness. I think the pandemic fundamentally changed how we as humans tend to interact with other humans. Social distancing was a large part of our lives for almost several years. And so interacting with others through virtual means, like what we're doing right now. I've never met you in person, Barry. But and that's crazy. And we've known each other for years.
Yep. You might just be an AI.
Who knows? But I think the thing here is that there are a lot of folks who find friendship and companionship difficult. For me, my wife is my best friend. I do everything with her, and my son is my best friend too, and we do everything together. And outside of that, and truthfully, Barry, talking here with you on this show and work friends, I don't really have like that much of a social life in the sense that I used to. My social life purely exists within talking here on this platform, which is why it's such a big thing that I want to do, is create that community for people, because it is a problem. But secondly, I think this is trying to address some of those issues that we're starting to see as a society, that loneliness epidemic. And I know that we've kind of laid the groundwork for that in past episodes. So I'd encourage you to go listen to those episodes. I think one of them was on AI girlfriends, and another one was probably on AI companions. And I think I think those will probably set the stage for this, but this is just another layer on top of that. And so the product itself, fine. I think the thing that feels so dystopian about it is that we are facing this epidemic of loneliness, and we're not quite sure what to do about it or how to solve that issue. But this doesn't feel like the right answer to it. Making an AI companion that can accompany you, that comments, like, is it really a friend? Like, there's the fundamental philosophical question: is it really a friend? It's not alive. But
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah.
No. I'm kind of fizzling out here on my points I want to make, but
so
it's just very bizarre.
I've now gone to the website, and to answer some of the questions that I've raised, apparently it is going to be, it is $99 and has no subscription. So it is a one-off. There you go. You do need to be internet connected, and it is always listening, so it's always connected via Bluetooth. So that's quite interesting. It is you need to have an internet connection, so you need a phone to make it work, which leads you to think it's perhaps it is an app as well as the device. But I don't know. I think that it's quite interesting the way that society is. So there's two or three things that we've done as a society. One is that we have developed more of an affinity to chat through social media and phones and things like that, which a lot more people value, particularly younger people, in a way that we, as, let's just say, older people, perhaps don't appreciate as much as they do, because we sort of look at it. We have this, it's almost a stigmatized view about the way we prioritize face-to-face communication as opposed to the communication you have through a device, which is interesting, considering we adults as well, particularly millennials and zennials and things, have actually taken on the use of text messaging, things like that, because we've actually been able to do now this thing where if you don't want to talk to people, you don't have to talk to people. You can message them, you can email them, you can do that sort of stuff. And this is, I feel, in many ways, kind of tapping into that. It's allowing you to communicate in a way that suits you. So there is a bit of that. We do have this type of technology around us already. I mean, how we've all got, well, we haven't all got, but a lot of us have smart speakers, your Alexas and things like that. And all my lights are turning off, so let's just switch them back on.
It's like, what are you doing in the dark there?
Useful. There we're back. And so we do have all these sort of things, and it's personalizing that in a way. So, and for people who do not want to talk, I mean, there's a lot more recognition now that there are a lot of people who just don't want to talk to other people. They want to engage, that they want to don't want to feel stigmatized for not wanting to be in big group situations. They want to be able to interact in a way that is empowered by themselves. So if they want to come and interact with people, fine. If they don't want to go and interact with large groups of people, or go to certain events, or go to parties and stuff like that, this might work well for them. I'm tempted. I'm kind of on the fence, where I was right at the beginning going, this is dumb. I'd be willing to give it a shot. I'd be willing to have a go with it to see how the experience actually happened. Do I think it would be that great? I'm on the fence. Do I think there's a massive security risk there? Yes, I absolutely do. They do talk about on the website. They do talk about how the privacy is dealt with, and so they do say no audio transcripts or transcripts are stored past your friend's context window, whatever that context window is, which is interesting. It means that unlike Alexa, we know that Amazon store and use their recordings for training, so we do a lot of that already. In theory, it says all memories can be deleted with one click within the Friend app. So that proves that there's an app there. So that's good. That's got that one down. Interesting. Also, I could see it end up being making a brilliant episode of Black Mirror. So
that's the comparison that everyone's making. This is Black Mirror. Let's go to the comments here. So Heidi's bringing up some points here. This is the last straw for me. How much more do we want to move our society backwards into more and more isolation and bigger mental health crises? This is abhorrent. Signing off. Because I don't think I would have anything nice to say about this. And I think there is something just so fundamentally off-putting about this. It's like it feels like it's a patch to a problem that humanity can't seem to fix, and just where we're at right now. And this might be Western culture, but who knows? So then some more comments here. Most important add value neurodivergence require actual human interaction with empathy and touch. This is just another tool to separate us further, spike mental health crises even further. And the privacy issues, HIPAA law violations, this is already bordering, are endless. I think events like reading a book together that have been popping up are much more valuable than having yet another isolating piece of technology. Chance writes, AI companionship sounding like Blade Runner 2049 almost. Yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot of things that we could talk about here. You brought up the privacy issue. And I think there's some interesting comments that the CEO made. They believe, so the CEO here, Schiffman is his name. Hang on, let's see. Let me get the full name here. Or wait, no, not. Let me see. Avi Schiffman is the person who made this. Okay, so TechCrunch did an interview with him. The product is not focused on productivity. It's a thin layer that connects to your phone via Bluetooth and constantly listens to you in a bid to combat loneliness. You tap the walkie-talkie button on the hardware, talk to the device. It will send you an in-app response to it like a text. And since Friend is listening to you all the time, it can also proactively send a message. For instance, it might wish you good luck before an interview. And that's about it. And then there's some other comments here. Schiffman believes that having a hardware around your neck makes it easier to talk to an AI companion rather than just having an app. This is an interesting quote. I would really view the product as like an emotional toy. I think the only successful use case of large language models is people talking about their day and their feelings to tools like Replica. We've talked about that one. That's the AI girlfriend, or Character AI built with hardware present. I believe it's a better emotional connect. Let's see. He said that the device isn't designed to be a therapist or to help you work. It's not about productivity. It's an AI friend you can talk to and nothing more. He adds that constant companionship is one of AI's killer use cases.
I mean, the interesting bit that he mentions there that actually I think it would be useful for is where he says it's not it's not for work or productivity. It would be so useful for me to be able to, if I'm talking and saying, oh yes, let's go meet up, let's go do this, that, and the other, for something to be able to buzz and say, no, you can't do that because you've got your whatever is on. That would
there's other
pieces.
There's other technology that'll do that. So Plod is another piece that helps you listen and transcribe and summarize your meetings. I think that that's something else that's kind of focused on productivity. I think the weirdness of this comes in when it's just trying to address that loneliness, or when it's just trying to be a friend. And I do wonder functionally, like, are there things that you can do to this that will help or that help customize it in a way? Can you have it be romantically involved with you? Can you have it to, like, can you customize its personality in any sort of way where you're like, I just want a super sarcastic friend that just, like one of the comments was made, you're like, you're doing really bad at these games, right? Like,
you suck.
It's like, you suck, bro. Like, can you customize it to be like really positively reinforcing everything that you're doing? Because I can see that as being something almost like a benefit, like, hey, that didn't go as bad as you thought it did, like you aced that meeting, like, everyone was super into what you had to say.
Yeah. It's I mean, I think it's interesting. I mean, again, the point around I think it was Heidi who commented around saying neurodivergence require human interaction with empathy and touch. Some of them do, but not all do. No, the whole point of neurodivergence is that there is a breadth to it, where some people actually that's the last thing they want, except with like maybe one person or something like that. So it's interesting. I think the more I look at it, I don't like the fact it's a necklace. I don't like the fact that you wear it and it's just there because it's a fashion statement as much as anything else. Though that is good to know, it would be a good thing for other people to realize that they are within the realm of it. I can't definitively turn around and say absolutely yes, it'll be amazing. I think there's interesting use cases with it. I think it could be. I'd like to give it a go. I'd like to see the real life use of it. But it feels a bit Google Glass to me, in that they developed something without a true use case.
Can I tell you what I really want? Can anybody listening in market research? Can I tell you what I really want? I don't want this. I want like a droid with a snarky personality from Star Wars that has a physical component to it that I can talk to, and it can be always listening, and that's fine. But give me snarky commentary, and if I ask you a question, I want you to have access to the internet. I want you to be able to help me find an answer that's reliable. But I want you to present it in a way that is more conversational in nature. I want a robot companion that I know is a robot that's not trying to fake being a friend. I don't know. That I can see a use case for, because I would love a droid on my desk that I could be like, oh, shut up, Chatterbox. Like, just.
You just want a droid. I mean, that's just.
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah. Give me a droid. If we can get me a droid, like HK-47 from Star Wars: The Old Republic. I want that one. That one. Assassin droid with just a snarky attitude.
That's an interesting thing, though, and a bit like the same way that we use Alexa and things like that. We use that in a authoritarian way. You know, we tell it what we want it to do. We ask it questions. We demand things of it, etc., etc. Is perhaps the twist that this is bringing is that it's trying to be an equal, you know, an emotional equal. Because that's what a friend is, isn't it? A friend is somebody who is an equal to you, not subservient to you. So maybe this is the starting point of civilian human machine teaming in a way. That how to build a almost a true relationship with a piece of AI technology. Maybe I'm giving it more credit than it deserves, but I think that whole HMT piece is really popular at the moment, and there's a lot of work going into it.
This is crazy because you can see the Black Mirror episode write itself. You really can. And down to the FAQs that they provide on their page. Okay. I'm going to show you these FAQs because I think not only is it a good place to end the stream today, but I also think it's a good place where the Black Mirror episode would end naturally. You can imagine an episode where this person is developing a bond with this AI friend, and at the end they fall down or something tragic happens. They get in a fight and they throw the friend. The friend breaks. What happens when I break the device? Your friend and their memories are attached to the physical device. If you lose or damage your friend, there is no recovery plan. So that's the end of the episode. They are tragically sitting there with a cracked friend. They've killed their friend. They've killed their AI friend because they were so mad that they threw the pendant against the wall. And that's how the episode ends. Like, you can see this right itself.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I guess the other side is you sneak into your friend's room, you steal their pendant. That's it, gone. They never get it back.
Yeah.
And all their memories are stolen as well. So, you know, somebody goes in, somebody steals your pendant, then starts blackmailing you.
Yeah.
Or a nefarious other country's actor comes in and steals it, and suddenly it has your secrets on it and national security stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll take it back. That I probably don't want to play with that. But, anyway,
all right,
yes.
you're gonna play with that. So you order. You're gonna do a pre-order. Maybe if we're nice enough, they'll send us a review copy. Maybe
we could drop them an email and see if they'd be up for it.
Maybe, yeah. Well, hey, if you've enjoyed any part of our show tonight, you can always do this. Support the show, become a patron. We don't do as much activity as we used to, but there's a whole host of older content on there. We are trying to get back into this game in different formats. You saw we played around with a couple different things tonight. We talked about a news story. We answered a community question. We talked about various parts and pieces of human factors and Swiss cheese and relative events happening in the news. So if you enjoyed any part of this, there's a whole host of things that you can do. You can support us. You can leave us a 5-star review wherever we're at. Join our Discord, interact with us. That is truly some of the best conversation that we have is with folks in the community. Thank you, Heidi, for joining us. Thank you, Barry, for sitting here with me and talking about all these interesting things. And I know you have a podcast that posts even more regularly than this one does now. So you want to let people know about that one?
Yeah, so I'm on 1202, the Human Factors podcast. More recently, we've been talking about things like aerospace, and we're about to have a new episode go live on, I think, tomorrow around cyber risk and understanding cyber vulnerability.
Awesome.
So that's really nice.
I'm looking forward to those. Well, yeah, until we meet again, folks, you can always drop us a line, like I said, in our Discord. Get in touch with us throughout the show. You can follow us on social media. We're everywhere. We might get more into the habit of posting shorter form content, so look out for that. Human Factors Cast or everywhere. And then if you want to follow me, you can do Nick_Rome. I seldom post, but there's that for you. Anyway, we usually sign off with It Depends. So let's do it, Barry. It's been a while. Ready? It depends. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your